Good morning, everybody. I once again am not in a comfortable position. I think it's a spot on this particular couch, actually. It's kind of like this must be the spot where everybody has sat, because this particular spot on I have two couches, and this couch, it's a brand new couch, and there's just this spot, and it kind of like just sucks me in, and I don't feel very supported in this spot, which is just not good. So let me see. I need to change. I think it's where like the two couches come together or something. It's just not a good spot. Not a good spot to like feel stable, and how that pertains to this morning's talk, feeling stable. Okay, so yeah, outside that, I'm trying to get my hair kind of halfway put together for you, and then I was setting up my phone and in a little holder thing, and this technical term, you can tell that I'm not really fully awake, even though I have been awake. I've been reading and stuff this morning. But I have my coffee cup sitting right underneath my phone, and my coffee cup is one of these like big rimmed coffee cups. And I just had this feeling because my phone, it feels a little unstable this morning. Funny, right? Unstable. It feels a little unstable this morning. I was like, my phone's going to pop like right out of there. I just like plop into my coffee. And I have been having tons of technical challenges, especially with my phone. It's like, yeah, my spirit is just going to go pop. We're going to deal with that phone for you once and for all. Hey. Morning, everybody. Before I get going here, I'll say good morning. Morning, Paul. Morning, Jordan. Morning, Addison. To here. Oh, okay. So this morning, I've been doing a lot of talk on manifestation and a lot of talk on business building and on different things like that. And then, and what I've been dealing a lot with is just that as well. But what I've also been dealing with is relationship. And, at the basis of everything, we have relationship, because it is all about our relationship. How every relationship that we have also opens us up to a different viewing of relationship in different areas of our life. So if you have an intimate relationship, it's going to show you different tidbits and different things that you need to be aware of about the relationship that you have with your health, about the relationship that you have with your children, about the relationship that you have with your work, with money, with all this different stuff. It really truly is like this ripple effect. If you see an issue in one area of your life, you're going to see an issue in all areas of your life. It's just that way. So we have the same holdbacks, the same triggers around different aspects of our life. Start working on the healing of one area, and you're going to start to heal all areas. I'm going to forewarn you guys this morning that I'm ever really truly alone. I mean, you can't be when you have a whole zoo of children like I do, and people coming and going. But I was going to do this conscious coffee at 6 o'clock this morning when I originally woke up, and yeah, it didn't happen. My first cup of coffee was just for me to have. It was an intimate moment with my coffee while I sat here and read my mentor's ass kickery stuff. But no, you're going to hear some little movement and everything, because the one child I do have home right now is getting ready to go to school. Yes, I'm talking about you, dear. So he's coming down the stairs, because the room that I'm sitting in, the stairs are right in front of me. He's just going, what is mom doing? Why is she talking about me to everybody? But no, so relationship has everything to do with everything. And when you really look at the relationships in your life, and what I've really been kind of aware of, and Addison and I went out and we saw the Book of Mormon last night, which was just quite a hoot. It was a great girls' night out. So thank you, Addison, for that. The laughter and everything. But we went and we saw the Book of Mormon. And if you haven't seen the Book of Mormon, I actually encourage you to go see the Book of Mormon if you have an opportunity to see it, because it really is. It's just humorous. It's funny, and it shows the silliness of the things that we will buy into. And if you are Mormon and you're watching me, number one, congratulations, you're watching me. You're Mormon. That's pretty damn ballsy on your part as it is. And number two, please don't take any offense. I'm not pro or anti any religion or faith out there. To each their own. Never trying to get anybody to do something not on a saving mission in that aspect. More like, I'm going to help you save yourself to become yourself. And that's about it with that, and whatever your spiritual beliefs are. It's perfect for you. None of my fucking business. Just like I don't really ultimately care what you do in your bedroom either, or how much money you make. My purpose is really just about helping people reveal themselves. Oh, the other thing is I have my little attack ninja puppy that's running around this morning. So if Nina comes running through and if I get pushed off, you're going to see that. So, hey, good morning. A few more people. David, Melody. What is this? Patrick, morning. Okay. So, as we look at relationship in itself, there are so many times that we deal with possession issues in relationship. Now, we can be possessive of many, many things. We can be possessive over our house, over our car, over our money. We can be possessive over, our clothes, over different relationships. But the real place that I see a lot of possessiveness and experience possessiveness is in intimate relationship. And over the last couple days, I have definitely, this is something that I feel off and on in different relationships, in intimate relationship across the board. Since I've been in intimate relationship since I was 15, I have experienced this possessiveness and ownership. Okay, hold on. Kid leaving. Are you grabbing breakfast, love, or are you just out? Can I have a hug? Here, let me give him a hug. I'm still alive. Love you. Love. Okay. Hey, wait, before you do that, will you please let the dogs out back real quick for me? Thank you. Okay, so go on, dogs. Go. Follow him. There you go. Okay, so my dogs are now out back, so I won't be getting attacked. You might have to pick her up and give her a swift little boot. Thank you. So, hey, wait, Phoebe needs to go. Okay, welcome to my world, right? Where chaos is always happening, although it's not really chaos. It's just life. That's all it is. It's just life. I think her toe's stuck. There you go. Okay, so puppies are out, kids leaving. So, possessiveness in relationship. Thank you, babe. Have a great day. So, in relationship, I see a lot of issues of control, of relationships wanting to control aspects in them and set the tone. It's funny that I'm using that word. And set the tone in the relationship as far as what they want to control or make sure happens or does not happen. And the obvious thing here is that the majority of relationships are monogamous relationships in one aspect or another. They might be sexually monogamous, they might be emotionally monogamous, they may be, a monogamous of emotion and sex. And can you have emotion and sex separated? Absolutely. There are a lot of the times our sex is just sex. There's not a lot of emotion attached to it. That's what I call friction-based sex. And then there's a lot of times we hear about people having emotional affairs. A lot of people have, their work spouses at work. So they'll have their work wife, their work husband, and that's a significant other person that they are in a deep intimate relationship with, but it's of the mind, it's of the workspace, and they work together as though they are husband and wife, or as though they are partners at that level, and it's just that kind of relationship that they have. And this is a normal aspect of life. This is called, it really truly is relationship. And what happens is a lot of the time, if you are around somebody, if you have a primary significant other in your life that has insecurity issues in some fashion, then what you're going to run into is that like the work wife, work husband scenario is going to cause issues in your relationship. You sometimes, like, I'm a very just naturally flirty person, and it's not so much that I'm flirty, it's that I'm friendly, I'm open, so I'm open to connect with, so it's easy for people to connect with me, and because they can connect with me, it's almost perceived as flirtiness, even though I have like no true desire or interest. I'm not even thinking anything on that line. I'm just being me. But I've dated many people who have seen my openness, my friendliness as a flirtation, and it has caused them different issues, to the point that, I dated one man, and I'm still friends with him today, but when we were dating, he did ownership things with me, and I didn't see it on the front side. And this is the thing, you never see it on the front side, and this is why I'm such an advocate of hiring slow, and then you can hire slow, and you can fire slow if you want, but hiring slow. We hire fast, and I've been guilty of this. I've hired fast a few times, and I can tell you that hiring fast is a bad idea. Yes, you might go, oh, but I fell in love. And in fact, 6 months later, you find yourself married and you're in this relationship, and then the person's true colors come out, and you find out that you don't really mesh together. You find out all the different stuff. Well, here's the thing. New relationship energy, NRE, takes anywhere from 18 months to 3 years to wear off, okay? And we all get new relationship energy. That's that honeymoon phase in a relationship where the flags might be waving in front of our face, like this is a red flag scenario. Halt, caution, warning, stop, don't move down the relationship path with this person. And what do? We just move down that path because we're so intrigued. We're so fascinated. Would they make us feel so good, right? Because all of this stuff, that honeymoon, we're just like, oh, they can walk on water, okay? Because that's what it is. They can walk on water. They can do no good. We're making quick excuses for why they make the choices that they make, why they say the things that they say, why they're acting the way they're acting. We're very, very quick to make those reasons up, give the reasons for that stuff. And the truth is that this is just new relationship energy that is causing us to be blinded to the flags. And one of the biggest flags that you might experience, of course, is the flag of possession, the flag of jealousy, the flag of desiring to own, and all in the face of saying, hey, I love you, that's why I feel this way. I love you, that's why I feel this way. You should not be looking at, talking to, seeing, exploring, getting the attention of another person. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to try to make this as open as possible. But the attention of another person, because that is threatening to our relationship. That is threatening to like how I feel about you. That's causing me pain, me fear, me anxiety. Okay. And then there is the whole, well, we've got to set, like, what is this in the relationship where we're trying to set the tone? What is this? We start to label, right? Very early on, we label. And I say this because I know a few people, I'm not dating anybody new in my life. Anybody that I have in my life, I've known for quite some time. So I don't have any new people. But I'm definitely at a point in relationship where like new relationship energy is is definitely fading out, and I understand that process, and I actually welcome that process, because I'm like, yay, now we actually get to the good shit now, and we get to really like start seeing clearly, because the next, if we make it another year, 18 months, now we're going to get to see like, well, let's see what this relationship's really made of, if we're really in alignment to each other or not, right? Because that's just where that is. You have to get into that like 18 months to 3 year realm of relating. But I have a few people in my life, friends of mine, who are dating, and they're on date 3, 5, 7, 10. It's 90 days in, 120 days in, even 6 months in, and they see these little things or in the relationships, and they're like, oh, but, and there's this like excuse, this excuse of like, oh, I need to make this excuse for this person. They're this, they're that, blah, 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 blah. They're signposts. Like, pay serious attention. I'm not saying drop the person just because you have a signpost that's saying, hey, there might be caution here. Don't drop it. Lean in, explore it, get the lessons, get the connection, rev up your engine with this person, because it could just be a timing issue. I mean, I've had that happen where it's just a timing issue and it didn't work right then, but then it did work 6 months later, or people were going through shit. I had somebody tell me about a relationship that they were in, and I think it was a man telling me, and the woman that he was dating, this girl, he dates her, and they have this amazing experience, and then she just falls off the face of the planet, and he took it completely as though he was, a bad person. He did something wrong. He was ugly. He did blah, 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 blah. He's blaming himself completely for this girl falling off the planet, and he couldn't figure out like what he had done, but he just beat himself up because it triggered all of his shit around that, because he was always taking on the responsibility of anything that happened in relationships. So she falls off the planet. Well, then he bumps into her down the road, and he finds out that she had all this shit happen in her life. Like the next day, just this catastrophic stuff happened in her world. Well, they had just been out on a couple dates. She did not think to like get back to him and message him on giving all the tidbits of the chaos that erupted in her life. She got caught up in a chaos and was trying to put the fires out and repair the boat, set it for survival. And then 6 months later, they bump into each other, and she's like, oh my God, I completely, this happened, that happened. I'm so happy to see you. And they reconnected. So you have to realize that things do happen in relationship that you don't know what's going on. Melody, do you consider it ownership when you are not okay with your partner not telling you they are having friction sex with others? No, I do not consider that ownership. I consider that a lack of integrity within the relationship, and it might be what I would consider there. And I was actually going to kind of touch on a similar subject on this morning. So thank you, Melody, for bringing that up. I'm going to read what you have here before I go into this. Do you think possessiveness has to do with the person's insecurities? They feel insecure, so look at everything the other person does as a sign they aren't liked. Wonderful points, Melody. Okay, let's get right into this. I've been like dipping around this a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and just go into it. So on the topic of ownership, possessiveness, okay, on that right there, and dealing with what we're going to get to, right? So I'm going down to emotional, friendship, and all this other like sex means so fucking much to us, right? And yet at the same time, we say it was just sex. It was just sex. It's not a big deal, which is the friction sex, right? It was just sex. It's just a friction sex. And is it ownership if your partner is, or I'm just going to call it, because I'm guessing that if you're considering this person your partner in that aspect, have you had, I would question a couple things here, and I'm not saying this directly to you, but to anybody who is going through this, okay? So if you have a partner in your life and that partner chooses to have sex with others, there are questions that need to be brought up. So number one, have you discussed exclusiveness, and have you gotten clear answers and agreements around what came up around exclusiveness? Okay, how long have you been dating would be another one. I'm just gonna say that if you're on that front side of the dating spectrum, and I'm gonna say like 6 months, unless you've said we are monogamous, we are exclusive, and both parties have agreed to it, do not expect exclusiveness unless you have had that conversation and said we are exclusive, okay? Because unless you get really, really clear boundaries on that and guidelines, agreements, then anything's possible, okay? Anything's possible. So it's all about setting expectations, right? And then the whole thing is, now let's say you have said, because I'm going to guess the majority of people would say, no, I've been together for 3 years and we have been in an exclusive relationship for the last 2.5 years. We're serious. I thought that we were going to get married. I thought this, I thought that, we're living together or whatever. And we're not in an open polyamorous swinging relationship. So this shit's not okay. Well, if that's the case, then is it ownership if your partner goes and has friction-based, meaningless sex with others? Or even meaningful sex with others, okay? Sex with others. We'll just generalize it. Sex with others. No, that's not ownership. That is one of those things that's a breaking of an agreement. That is a loss of integrity within the relationship, okay? It's just a simple loss of integrity within the relationship. And the pain that one can suffer in this is not really about the sex, it's about the lie. So realize, put your placement of where you're frustrated, where you're upset, where you're feeling that pain on the right point, because the sex, if it can just be sex, and the ultimate point that you're really hurt about in those situations is the fact that your partner was out of integrity, was not truthful with you, the pain of being lied to. And that right there, that's a discussion that needs to happen. You can definitely overcome it. You need to, it's a two-sided thing. You both have to be willing to really dig down and talk about things and get to the truth in the matter. And then you have to go, okay, so if you are both in agreement, and here's the thing, it has to be both in agreement to the monogamy, to the exclusiveness. If you are not both in agreement to that exclusiveness, then there's going to be a problem. There just is. And I steal from Reid Mihalko on this, because he has this whole training that he teaches. I don't remember exactly the name of it, so I apologize on that, but it's about cats dating dogs, or maybe it was an article or talk that he did years ago. I can't remember. But he talks about that in our sex, it's kind of like there are cats and there are dogs. And what happens is we get together, a dog will get together with a cat and they'll start to date. And then the cat thinks that the dog's going to just not be a dog anymore and just be, become a cat. And the dog thinks that the cat's not going to be a cat anymore and become a cat. And what you have is you have two polar opposite beings with the way they function, with their needs, with their desires, coming together and expecting, and this is the issue, expecting the other side to become something that they are not. Okay? And that's just not going to work. It will not work ever, ever, ever. Now, you can lean in. You can figure out a middle spot where both parties can be happy. You can enter the land of compromise, but there's always going to be shit for you to deal with. But here's the thing. There's always shit for you to deal with in a relationship anyways. Relationships are really about us learning about ourselves, embracing ourselves, figuring out our dark spots, figuring out those shadowlands, and leaning into it. We tend to believe that once we're in a relationship, it should just be all, perfect and groovy and great, and we shouldn't really have to work at it, and the other person's just going to do what we want them to do, and we're going to do what they want us to do, and everything's just going to just magically go on without any problems. The happily ever after syndrome. That is bullshit. It's not going to happen. Relationship is going to pull up all your shit. It's going to consistently test you. A good relationship will consistently test you. You're going to have your very high happy places, and you're going to crash and you're going to burn. You're going, fuck, that hurt. But what can I learn from it? Okay. Ownership, before I get into the possessiveness comment that Melody has brought up, which is beautiful, by the way. Ownership is really, hold on, let me hit dismiss here. My phone is telling me that I'm supposed to be exercising right now, and I'm not exercising. I'm exercising my vocal cords and my taste buds for my good cup of coffee this morning. Ownership, and what I'm really meant by this on the front side of this, is a place where we believe that we own the other person's being, and that they owe it to us in some aspect. Hey, morning, Crystal. They believe that we own them. And we may not say that we own them. We might say, I love you, therefore this. And if you've had conversations, if you truly love somebody, and if you know where that person's at, number one, you have to realize that we're all human, and we all mess up, and we all get tempted, and we all have this stuff going on, okay? But it really comes down to the subtle little things of where the jealousies kick in, of where the obsessive comments kick in, of where the possessive comments kick in, the gestures, the actions, like all those little things that can add up. I had one gentleman tell me a couple weeks ago, his decision in our relationship. He made a decision, and he said, I'm going to, and that's why it was funny that I said setting the tone on the front side of this, because he used that exact statement with me. We need to set the tone to our relationship. We need to set the tone. And I was like, well, that's very interesting, because I felt like he's trying to manhandle the relationship. There was a certain amount of possessiveness, of ownership coming in, because he wanted to guide me, direct me into the way he wants the relationship to go, instead of allowing our relationship to develop the way it's just going to develop. And then I have another relationship in my life that rises up, and I know that there is, from his perspective, when he rises up, when I talk about other relationships, or when I share intimacies or anything like that, or I'm joking, the rise up is more around like protection. And I feel like he is feeling like he is protector. And this is the whole thing. I love you. I want to protect you. I love you. I want to feel safe with you. Okay, so that's masculine and feminine. Okay, we want these things with each other. Well, what we're really saying is, I'm trying to protect my heart. I'm trying to protect this. And the only way I can do this is for you not to act like that. So your actions are going to hurt me. And I don't want you to act like that, because that's going to hurt me. So I'm going to protect you. And like this particular statement, and he watches Conscious Coffee. So sorry, here we go. Part of dating me, right? Watch him pop on it now. But one of the statements that he makes actually frequently is, oh, I'm going to grab my baseball bat. I'm going to grab my baseball bat. So like, I'll be talking about a guy flirting with me, or an intimate conversation, or how somebody actually crossed the boundary verbally with me, or, some sort of expression that was like, damn, I can't believe this guy that sent me a dick pic on Facebook and did this and did that, or some gesture or something that will happen out in my day, or even with a client, say, oh, I'll go get my baseball bat and I'll take care of that. Now, I feel like there's this protection coming from him, this desire to protect me because he loves me, which is beautiful. But that is also a, hey, you need protection. You don't got this. You're not going to make the right decision on your own. There's all of this stuff. Now, this is my shit coming up and meeting his shit. And that's what you have to realize. In the land of ownership and possession and jealousy, it's one person's shit coming up with the other person's shit, and they meet in the middle, and guess what it causes? A great big pile of shit to form. And what happens is we get caught up in all that disgusting nastiness of our fears, of our egos, of our drama and our trauma that we have, and we toss it at the other person, and we say, you're responsible. You're responsible. I don't want to get hurt. Don't let me get hurt. And this kind of answers like what Melody here was talking about. Possessiveness has it to do with person's insecurities. It's, yes, yeah, absolutely it does, because it's all about protection of our heart. Okay, that's what it is. It's about the protection of our heart and our fear of abandonment, our fear of getting stung again, our fear of being lied to, our fear of all these different things, of somebody hurting us in some fashion or form. Okay, so there's a lot of insecurity in it, and it's us taking our beautiful power and putting it into somebody else's hands and saying, you are now in control of me. So in our state of wanting to control, we are actually releasing our control over to somebody else, because we're putting them in charge of our happiness, in charge of our safety, in charge of our peace, in charge of our love. And then when you really truly look at the love scenario and around this topic, you're going to find out that love has no desire to control. True love has no desire to control. It doesn't mean that we're not going to want to control. We all do it in one way or another. We all manipulate our partners. We all are untruthful with our partners to a degree, because we're not truthful with ourselves 100%. It's an ongoing process. And We all have fears. We all have all the shit that we've got that we're dealing with consistently. Some of us are actively dealing with it. Others of us are trying to bury it and act like it doesn't happen. But it's there. We all have that. And the more we move into relationship and the more we live, experience each other, the more this stuff just kind of comes up. And when you're in a relationship, it's going to bring it up big time. But love, true love, unconditional love. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that you have to stay with somebody that cheated with you. I'm not saying that you have to stay in a relationship that your needs and desires are so vastly different that it's not going to work. You do not have to stay, if you're a cat, you do not have to stay in a relationship with a dog. The majority of the time is that we go, no, I really want to stay in the relationship with the dog, so I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to try to make it work. I'll change myself to try to fit that other person's, I'll change myself. No. The cat is never going to become a dog. The dog's never going to become a cat. You cannot change yourself long term and remain happy to do it just for another person. This is like getting really fucking truthful with yourself first and then truthful with the other person. And that means that you have to just look at, like, what do you need? What do you want? That doesn't mean that you have to be out of love with somebody. Unconditional love is not a need-based item, okay? It's not a need-based feeling. You just love them. You don't have to have a list of reasons to love somebody. You can just love somebody for the sake of loving them because you just feel love for that person. Okay? It's unconditional. You require nothing back from them. You do not require them to look a certain way, make a certain amount of money, act a certain way, show up a certain way, be anything that they are not. Their only requirement is that they're just them. That is unconditional love. It is not a very, intensive thing. It's a very hard thing to do, to love, and to love when somebody is showing up someplace, some way that we are not, that is not in agreement to us, but it doesn't make it wrong. The wrongness comes in the lack of integrity. The wrongness comes in the inability to communicate our needs and to just say, hey, I don't know if I can do this, or hey, I'm willing to try this, but it's really going to bring my shit up for me. If you have a partner that is, we're going to call it more open, and I'm going to just lean on like polyamorous and monogamous, and I'm going to keep it simple like that, okay, even though that's not overly simple. Polyamorous meaning multiple loves, multiple intimate expressions, and monogamous meaning that this person is just with one other, okay? So if you are in the belief structure of monogamy and monogamy alone, and you have a person that is more open-minded, more polyamorous in your life, then you have to realize that polyamory feeling and action behavior is going to rise up in lots of different ways with your partner. It's going to come up as though it's flirtation. They're going to have probably, lots of different friends going, different relationships of all different levels. Where the lack of integrity can come into play, and I can tell you that this is like, it's a really tough one because I am that open person. I am that more polyamorous person. So I'm not a monogamous person at my core. Even if I can be sexually monogamous, sorta, kinda, maybe. I mean, like, if I was really truly sold out to somebody, I could be sexually monogamous. But it takes a while because I'm all into, like, not going to go there for quite some time. I need to, like, really get in there and feel that person and know if that person is for me or not, if I can sell out. But then there is emotional monogamy, emotional polyamory, friendship monogamy, friendship polyamory, all this different stuff. So if you are with somebody who is more open on that, realize that person, if they know that you are hardcore monogamy, it makes for a difficult conversation. So there's more chances of difficult, painful conversations to come up. And if that person loves you, if they over empathize with you, is what that means. If they over empathize with you, they're going to have ESP and believe that they can read what your emotional response is going to be to them. So they fear the loss of abandonment. They fear the confrontation just as much as you do, speaking to them about monogamy and like locking this shit down. The other side has this whole fear of like, well, how do I discuss opening up? So there's all this stuff going on. So the loss of integrity and truth happens in the midst of that right there, where you have the whole thing of not being able to communicate your truth because you're fearful of what potentially can happen in the midst of that. Okay, so the person may not have been necessarily lying to you, they just didn't know how to talk to you about what they need, what their desires are, what their stuff is, which caused the lie to happen. But it probably was not an intentional lie. Now, that is not always the case. And if you're one of those people that are out there just cheating on your partner, and you're like, oh, I'll use what Kendall had to say. I couldn't talk to you about it. I didn't know how to bring it up. I didn't want to have, all right, that's fucking bullshit too. Like, don't use that as an excuse. You still need to like bring it up, at least edge it in. If you're just out there putting notches on your bedpost, then that's a completely different gamut of things going on, and there's issues there. That's just issues with commitment and adrenaline and all this different stuff, and it's not healthy. Okay, I'm talking about the person that is definitely, there's one way and another way, and just this lack of communication there. I can't talk all of a sudden. Lack of communication there that is not being heard or seen, and not knowing how to be expressed, because we really stink as a community. We stink at sitting down and having those heart to hearts and being real with each other, because we don't at that moment in those heart to hearts, we don't want to hurt the other person, and we don't want to feel the pain of hurting the other person or them potentially hurting us. So in those moments, you have to kind of be willing to like let it all out and let any possibility form, and get really, really right with like, yeah, we could end up in a fight and end up not together from this. We could end up saying that truthful statement that goes, wow, we're just really not meant for each other. And then get our butt hurt over that and be down and, emotionally for whatever time frame. But here's the thing, that just means that person wasn't your forever. That just means that person was not, it's truly not in alignment. Would you want somebody to go and do everything that you want them to do just because they're going to do it for you for this time frame, and mask and hide, and you get 10 years down the road and you're in this relationship and then you're like, we never were, they hid it as long as possible, and then they came out, right? And I can tell you that's not fun. It's not fun. I just actually exited a relationship last year. I exited a relationship that after 7 years together, I was blown away to find out that the man that I was with was not the man that he actually was. And it was all a facade for 7 years. And then I look at him today and I go, wow, this is the guy. Like, I would have never even dated this guy. If he had shown up like this on the front side of the relationship, I would never have dated him. But then I've heard from relationships outside of that knew him prior to me. They're like, oh no, he was completely different with you. He was different with you. What does that say? If somebody is different with you than what they are everywhere else, or different with you than what they were prior to you, you could say, well, I made a good impact in his life. I mean, he ate better with me. He exercised more. He was more spiritual. He had more purpose in his life. Okay, so I made some good impacts in the man's life. Well, it didn't fucking last because it wasn't him. There was actually no desire. He did it to get the girl. And when we do something to get the partner and we step out of who we are, that self-integrity, it's going to come back and bite us in the ass. It is vitally important that when you enter in on a relationship, that you do so in as much truth of who you are as you can on the front side. Be very, very truthful, because it's better to go through 1,000 dates, 1,000 people, and find out that that's not the one, because 1,001 is going to be fucking perfect. Okay, they're going to be your perfect match. They're going to be perfect in everywhere. They're going to be able to connect with you the way you need to be connected, love you the way you need to be loved, because it's going to be that perfect match. There's still going to be resistance. There's still going to be different stuff that's going to rise up because you are two different people and you need those little challenges in your relationship. But it's best to just kind of drop off the dead weight and realize that you don't want somebody showing up that's not truly them. You don't want to be living with an actor in your house, okay? It's not a fun thing. And when the actor decides to quit, it really can be not a fun thing, okay? And so just like be grateful that that shit shows up earlier on. And the only thing you can do in those moments is try not to be, I mean, if you're a possessive person, if you're a jealous person, deal with your insecurities, but then go, where's my expectations? What have I known of this person? What is their track record? What have I learned about their history? What have they shared with me? What have they vocalized with me? What have their friends shared? What have their family shared? You know, like all these different things. Look at all of that. And if you go, oh, I can't believe that was you. Now, yes, we do change, but how do we change? Do we change for others or do we change for self? Big difference. If the person is making the changes for themselves consistently through their life, growing, and they're doing it for them for some reason, that's a strong positive change that's going to stay there. If they are making a change because of this relationship and you go, I can't believe that you ever did that. Oh, well, I did that because I was dating so-and-so and blah, 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 blah. Oh, I can't believe you ever did that. Oh, yeah, I went and I did that and I was like, bum, 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 because of so-and-so. If it's because of so-and-so, then guaranteed the person that's sitting in front of you does not know who the fuck they are, and they are not going to be real with you either. Never assume that somebody is being real with you and fake with everybody else, because if somebody is being fake with everybody else, then they're being fake with you too. Okay, it's just like if somebody's talking smack to you about everybody else in their life and they're just totally into it, don't think that they're not spreading your shit to everybody else as well. Okay, somebody who is like that is going to be giving that out everywhere. They're not going to pick and choose and be like, oh, I'm real right here. Yeah, no, they're not. They're just not real. So really get into that. The possessiveness, though, is like, is your love need-based or is it unconditional based? And that's what you really have to look at. And if you are feeling like you need this other person for your happiness, for your joy, for giving you, providing you some sort of like, I feel stable, I feel like that, like this is she completes me. That statement that we get told in movies and books and poetry, and it's supposed to be this like, oh, so endearing and like, oh, this is just magical, this is my twin soul, this is my one and only soulmate. Fuck the soulmate shit and the twin soul stuff. And it's like, no, guess what, if the people are in your life, they're your soulmates, okay? It's not meaning that that is your one true significant other. If for the phase of life that you are in, you probably have one or two people that meet you right there. That can be your soulmate, your significant other. Does not mean that they are the only one on the planet that is that person. I can tell you that I have, in the course of my dating career, from 15 to 42 now, that I have been the one for so many men. It's not even funny. Men that I've dated, men that I haven't dated, clients of mine. I mean, it's just like, I'm like, I can't be the one for everybody. I can't. So somebody will fall in love with me and I'll find myself in this situation. I'm like, don't fucking fall in love with me. And then they fall in love with me and then I'm the one. Well, you might be the one for the moment to meet or match whatever in that time frame, but that does not mean that you are the one. When you find the one, it becomes a choice that you want to remain there. Okay, that you want to remain there. And I have one of my friends that's actually might still be on here, has this beautiful relationship, long relationship, and has had relationships prior, both of them. And I can tell you that I look at their relationship as a beautiful, powerful testament to true love and, you know, and communicating and and having constructive arguments happen, and being willing to put their heads down and say what matters and where do we want to be. And it is almost probably, I bet she would say, a daily practice of saying, I want to be here. And some days you got to remind yourself that you want to be there a couple times. But it is a desire to want to be there with that person, even when the shit starts hitting the fan, even when it's bad. That does not come from a place of need. That comes from a place of wanting, of love. I want to be with you. I love you. I get that you're human. I get that things are going to happen. I get that you're not going to always show up. I want to be here. If you're like, no, I need to be here because I need to feel secure. I need to feel, you make me feel loved. You make me feel safe. You make me feel secure. You make me feel happy. You make me complete. That's all need. All need based. That love that you're feeling, you're only feeling it because that person is opening you up to the love that you have inside yourself. It's not the other person loving you. It's the love that you have inside yourself that you are feeling, that they are opening you up to. Okay? And if that joy that you're feeling when you're around them, that happiness, it's in you all the time. That person is just, you're putting it right there and you're like, you're doing it, but it's what's inside of you. You feel safer to be able to experience yourself around that person. Get right with experiencing yourself, and then you always have that. And then guess what? You're going to draw into your life more people that are in that state as well. Although the people that you draw into your life, remember that we tend to get attracted at wound level. So we have similar grounds. So if we are shut down in our heart space, we're going to attract people that are shut down in the heart space, and they may not even realize it. So we're working on our stuff when we draw a partner into our life, which is why that's probably why I'm more polyamorous by nature, is because I've realized that I keep meeting myself in all these different relationships. And the reality of the sexual aspect of things is that sex does not have to happen, but quite often when you get intimate emotionally, mentally with somebody, and you start to really access yourself and learn, you also want to access the sexual aspect of yourself, because the sexual aspect of yourself is a creative aspect. It's a clearing aspect. Sex is extremely healing. We have a lot of shame, a lot of trauma in our sex. And when somebody tries to possess our sex, what happens is they actually are trying to possess our creative flow. They're trying to possess our ability to express ourselves in different ways. And it's like, no, I own that. Really? You own my sex? You don't own my sex. Nobody owns my sex. My sex is my sex. Just like you don't own my heart. My heart is my heart. You don't own my mind. My mind is my mind. You don't own my spirit. My spirit is my spirit. So why do we think that we should own somebody else's sex? If there is integrity, if there are communications there, if there are agreements there, if there are not agreements there, then talk about that shit and get it out there and start having agreements. Figure out what your non-negotiables are. Figure out what you can lean into, what you're willing to try out, and what you're not willing to try out. If you are in ground of like one person's like, no, I cannot have you having sex with anybody else. I cannot do this. And the other person's like, well, and I can't not have sex with other people because I'm exploring myself and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm not committed to just being the one here or you being the one here. Well, then realize that right there means that relationship's not right for that moment anymore, that you guys are not right for each other anymore. And then maybe you want to test it out. Maybe you want to push. Maybe you want to see if you want to expand. Maybe you're like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. It's going to trigger me a lot. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. But I'm willing to lean in because I want to be here. Not I need to be here. And this is something that you as an individual has to really answer yourself. Because you can tell somebody, oh no, I'm not here because I need to be here. I'm here because I want to be here. But if you have this stuff going off, depending on what your triggers are and how you're really feeling, and if you start doing this whole spiral shit where you're crashing and you're burning because somebody told you the truth, what that will do is that will shut the other party down, and you tell that person, no, you can't be truthful with me. You can't be truthful with me because you're going to send me this way or that way. I can't handle it. So then the other party's not going to be into integrity anymore. And then it causes a ruckus there. And then you're not being truthful. They're not being truthful. And all of a sudden you end up in like the 7-year disaster that I had, which was not a disaster until it became a disaster, like all good disasters are. Um, it just was, right? But we do this in lots of different ways, lots of different time slots. It can be a 3-month relationship, and 3 year, it can be a 30 year. It's really just in a matter of where your partner and you can stay in integrity, and when you get forced out of that integrity, okay? And how much fakeness each person can handle within themselves. Having those conversations and speaking about it and asking yourself, truly, do I own that other person's sex? And what am I hoping to accomplish by trying to own that other person's sex? Like, what is it? What does it mean to me to own another person's sex? What does it mean? I mean, does it make you feel more powerful? Does it make you feel safer? Does it make you feel more like, oh yeah, I'm like, they're really more committed to you? Does it make you feel more love? Does it make you what is the feeling? Because that's what it's about. What is the feeling that it gives you to own somebody else's sex? And from the flip side, how do you think it makes the other person feel to be owned? Sexually, emotionally, mentally, or any other way? How does it feel to be owned? Ask yourself, how does it feel to be owned? If I was owned, well, and I can see that some people might say in this moment, well, I would feel like the person really wants to be with me, that they were like, like I'm the one, and that it makes me feel strong and loved and supported, that they want to own me in this way. Why do we need to own each other? Like, why? Why do we are human beings to be owned? Well, I don't personally think so. Personally, I think that slavery should be done with, and especially slavery based in the light of love, because it is not a love thing to try to own somebody else. You can have agreements, you can have disagreements, you can talk about your non-negotiables. And if you are trying to own somebody and force them into your will to get them to live a way, then you're truly not in love with them. You truly are not wanting the best for them. You're just hoping that they will do what you want so that you feel safe, so that you feel a certain way. And what you're saying to them is, I don't really care what your desires, what your wants, what your needs, what your joy, what your happiness is. Wash all that away. That doesn't matter. I don't really care. I can't love you there. I can only love you over here in this neat and tidy little box where I'm going to put you. I'm going to take your heart. I'm going to take your sex. And I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to keep it nice and safe. And then that's the way it's going to be. And don't you fucking get out of that box in those two areas, because that's not okay. So really start to look at where you might be guilty of doing that, or where a relationship in your life, if you have relationships in your past. I mean, I use a lot of past references because I've had a lot of relationships. Like I said, I've recently had a few people say a few different things to me, and it's a fucking big turnoff. In truth, it just really is. It is just a major, major turnoff. But that is because I have learned the very difficult lesson of that I don't need anybody's love. The only love I truly need is the love that comes from myself. I don't need anybody to make me happy. The only person that can truly make me happy is myself. I don't need anybody to necessarily come and rescue me. I need to rescue myself. And when I do that, I am strong enough in myself to be love and be joy, and to provide a safe space for other people in my life. And I can allow them to show up how they need to show up, not how I need them to show up to make me feel any particular way. That's called really taking responsibility for your life, for your emotional, mental, physical, sexual, spiritual state. Be responsible for you. I love Byron Katie. She has a statement where she says, there's God's business, there's other people's business, and there's your business. And only one of those businesses are you actually in charge of. So what you do is you stay in charge of and focus in on the one business that you can take care of, and you don't pay attention to the other two, because there's no way that you can deal with that other stuff. It's not your responsibility. It's not for you. And if you really want to have a life of happiness and joy and understanding and connection and really truly live, then what you're going to do is you're going to realize that that the God's business and other people's business is not for you. So just get right with that and just stick to your own. And that means your own, okay? And the more you are here and the more you are aligned here, the more you're going to be able to speak your truth. And you're going to be able to come at things from such a more mature, emotional, mental level, spiritual level, and you're going to be able to connect in those areas. And guess what? That's where you're going to find true love. That's where you're going to find true respect. That's where you're going to get love. That's where you're going to feel all of this awesome wonderfulness, because you're going to get to open up at a different level. But it comes through self-responsibility, not through trying to control anybody else, and least of all somebody else's sex, based on that you're thinking that their sex is going to do anything for you, okay? And that is really, whether it is friction sex or it is deeper sex. I'm not going to talk about those two things. It doesn't much matter, because we get caught up on, if I was enough for you, if this was the right relationship for you, you wouldn't need anybody else. And not everybody's wired like that. Not everybody's wired like that. I have 7 children. I guess I needed 7 children. Would I have been okay with one? Yes. But I ended up with 7 children. I have more than one friend in my life. You know, I have more than one sibling. So we have multiples and lots of things. But when it comes to our sex, we put so much on it, and we say that we have to just have one. If you are both in agreement to there being monogamy, to there being just one, then that's the way it should be for the two of you. If one person changes their mind, that person needs to bring that to the table, and there needs to be a discussion. If that's not where, both people can be, then there needs to be another discussion. None of that is easy conversations. Being in truth, being in integrity never is typically an easy conversation. But I can tell you that they are conversations that need to happen if you truly want to experience true love, true happiness, true connection, true intimacy, and true growth. Then those conversations have to happen. Really, truly look at yourself, feel into that, ask yourself, am I in alignment? Do I love myself? Do I find happiness where? Out here or in here? Do I find love out here or in here? Where are these things coming from? If you can come back to it's all in here, then what you need to do is you just need to say, hey, we need to have a conversation. I'm not wired this way. You're wired this way. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Like, where do we want to go? And if that's not the case, then start doing your own internal work. Still have the conversation. Bring it up to the other person and start having those difficult conversations. If you don't know what to have conversations around, you don't know the questions to ask, you don't know how the ground to get into, find a coach. Find a third party that can hold that space for you, a therapist, a coach, somebody that can hold that space and give you that what you need, the guidance, so that you can have those conversations, so you can have those breakthroughs. Even though they might feel like breakdowns, they'll be breakthroughs, and you can actually start authentically relating with your significant other, okay? And getting clarity and scripting out what your needs are and speaking your truths, because that's what you need to do. That's truly what you need to do. So, okay. And yeah, what is stepping in? Stepping in is that right there. And, or are you going to just ignore it? I don't know. I think I went a little off topic, maybe not, maybe so, I don't know. Anyways, possession and ownership and all that good stuff. It's just been really coming up in my world lately, in my private life, in the lives of my friends, in the lives of my children. My clients are walking in the door and they're telling me different things. I got text messages coming in about all this like ownership, and just what it really is truly doing, and this and what a loss of communication and love that's happening because of this thing of ownership. So ownership is not love based. I can tell you that it is not. It is definitely need based. So let me see. Anything else? Nope. I think that's it. I got a whole bunch of announcements. I've been announcing Max the Ancient Crystal Skull the last couple days. That's because Max is going to be here at my house Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you are in the Dallas area, Max the Ancient Crystal Skull will be at my house. We do have a couple meditation spots still available for the private meditations, and we are also doing an overnight sleepover and continental breakfast for a small VIP group with Joanne Parks and with Max the Ancient Crystal Skull. And we're going to have singing bowl meditation and all this good stuff as well, and just good conversations and just a great meditation evening. So if you are interested, and if you are in the Dallas area or want to get to the Dallas area Friday or Saturday, definitely look for that. You can go to oh, Crystal, are you still on? I need your website. Or maybe Addison has posted. Addison's already posted. Awesome. So, oh, she posted my coaching link. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. See, I was looking at all these other people. But you can definitely explore that on the website that just went up. Thank you, Addison. So good to have somebody that's like that there. I just want to say, any of you entrepreneurs watching or you coaches watching, I can tell you that life has gotten so much easier when my best friend became my assistant helper too, because it's just amazing to have somebody that knows you at that level and can just like go in and you can trust and can also support you. So it's just like sometimes just having that support is really valuable in the world of being able to just get done what you need to get done. And I'm in gratitude. So, but I say, so Max, if you're in the area, if you're not, try to make it to that. If that's of interest to you, that's coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We do have that with those few spots, and the events page right there. Go explore that. Everyone needs an Anderson. That's true. Let me see. Anything else? I don't have anything that I'm launching program-wise or anything. I have a couple private coaching spots still available. So Addison was kind enough to already put that up there. Feel free to click on the Work with Kendall if you are interested in doing one-on-one coaching work. I do work with anybody around the area. I do, phone calls. I do one-on-one. I do all these different stuff. So there is a couple spots still available. I have some couple spots open and some one-on-one coaching spots open. All my coaching stuff is actually in the middle of transition. I'm moving a whole bunch of stuff around because as soon as typically I use Max as like the starting point for my new year. So there's all this different stuff that's just like coming out and moving forward on different things. And I'm very excited about where the year is taking me already. Just that new birth and growth process. So there's, I'm starting a new business. I've got this whole new company that I'm launching this week. And then I've also got a whole bunch of new coaching stuff going as well. So very, very exciting. But I don't have anything like one-on-one private program out there. So Max, it is until something pops into my head to share with you on a program or anything. There's nothing else there. Otherwise, let me see. You can follow me though at www.kendallwilliams.com. You can keep following me here on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, or any other choice platform that you might have. If there's anything in this video that touched you, somebody that you think that needs to hear about ownership and stepping in or letting that shit go, click the little share button to help me get messages out, help keep me going on Conscious Coffees by just hitting a little share. I do appreciate everybody who popped on this morning and all of your messages and all your love and likes. So thank you very much. Feel free to private message me on anything as well. And as always, stop existing, start living, and I will catch you for another Conscious Coffee on, I don't know. I'm going to try to do one tomorrow. I'm not going to commit to it because I have a whole bunch of stuff going on with my Mac stuff, but I'm going to try to be on here. Not first thing in the morning, but a little bit later in the morning. So we'll see. Okay, guys. See you then. Bye.